Welcome to the Commercial Know-How podcast, where mortgage brokers learn how to successfully launch, manage and grow a commercial finance business. I'm your host, Belinda Gibson. Join me as I draw on more than 25 years of property finance expertise to show you how to diversify beyond residential and build a growing business for all seasons. Don't forget to hit subscribe and visit commercialknowhow.com.au to download my free ebook to help you get started in commercial finance. Now, sit back and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to Commercial Know-How. Today we're going to be talking about the pre-appointment questionnaire. It's likely that your initial inquiry will come via a phone call, and while you don't want to interview a client on the spot, it's important to take down some initial facts before setting that first appointment time. You can then prepare an agenda for the actual meeting. By asking some basic questions now, you can research the client before you actually get out there and meet them. So here's a guide to help you with the initial phone call. Important questions to ask to gather background information. It is very similar to what you would ask a residential client. So I've broken it down into 5 different topics. So we want to ask questions around personal information, business information, finance requirements, financial information, and then some final additional questions. Now, if the inquiry has come from a referral source, like an accountant, a solicitor, a financial planner, a real estate agent, or another referral source that you may have, you may already obtain the personal data. You may then be asked to reach out to the client. So then you're making that initial call, you're introducing yourself, and then you can say, well, do you mind if I ask you some initial questions about your needs? You then might want to swap the topics of our questions around a little bit so that your conversation flow is natural, it's curious, and you're engaged before you actually confirm that meeting time and place. So if we go back to those general topics, the personal information that I want you to collect is their name, their address, contact number, and email address. So ideally you want to get that business address, not necessarily their home address, and just confirm later on that that's where you will be meeting them if you are going out to the business. Under business information, we would generally collect things like the business name, the business address, the business type and what industry they're in, find out how their company is structured, if it is a company, or is it a trust, a partnership, or a sole trader, and do they have a website that you can have a look at. Now, if they're buying a property, it may not be purchased in the actual business name. They might be setting up a special purpose entity that they've already spoken to their accountant about. But don't worry about that too much now. You just want to understand a little bit about the inquiry itself. The next topic is finance requirements. So what type of finance are they looking for? What would the purpose be? So very similar questions. So they might be looking for a commercial property loan. They might not know what type of finance they actually require, whether it's a 30-year loan term or whether it's a 10 or 15-year term at this stage, but that's where you come into play. The requested loan amount, again, they might not know this, but they might know the purchase price. And they may know how much funds they've got to contribute towards the property. You then can ask them, well, what is your desired loan term? And they might say, well, I'd really like a long-term loan. Or they might say, well, I'm interested in 5 years interest only. But it gives you a topic to talk about. I also like to find out who their primary bank is at the moment. Where do they have all their facilities? The next topic is financial information. I've got 5 or 6 questions here. You may not ask all of these. They might come into your agenda when you actually go out there and meet them. They might not be comfortable telling you what their annual revenue is, for example, over the phone, but you might say, well, is the business trading profitably? Are your BAS statements up to date and lodged on time? What other loans or leasing facilities do you have in the business? And you could also ask them if their financials and income tax returns are up to date. When were they last completed? Do they have their 2022s and 2023s available, or are their 2023s still being completed? Now, as a rule of thumb, once we hit the 31st of December each year, banks generally will draw a line in the sand and say, well, these figures are now too old. We want the most current financial year. So keep that in mind. Once they're about 18 months old, we then want the most recent financial year. So if you think about that in terms of a financial year, we've just hit 2024. So our 2022 financials are now 18 months old, and banks are requesting 2023 figures. Roll forward 6 months, the 2024 financial year is going to end. Once we hit the 31st of December 2024, banks will then be requesting those 2024 figures. Now, some have a different rule. They might say, well, our cut-off date's the 31st of March, but a good training exercise for you to remember is 31st of December, we want the most current financials. Now, under additional details, you might like to ask, if you hadn't already, how long have they been in business for? Now, banks generally want to see that a commercial client has been operating in business for a minimum of 2 years. Some might be 18 months, but keep in mind that when you're doing your background research around the ABN or the ASIC lookup, they could have also had a change of structure that's come into play. They might have started their business as a sole trader, moved into a company or a trust entity. So while the company might be relatively new, they may have some existing figures. That's the same business operation, but a different structure. Banks will normally accept this, and an accountant's letter is generally sufficient to explain the change in structure. So don't let that put you off. Just ask an additional question. I will always ask, are they an existing home or property owner? It does play a role when we're looking at clients' assets and liability position. And do they have any other existing assets that can be used as supporting security or collateral? Now, sometimes this can be cash. It might be funds that they're wanting to contribute towards the purchase price. They might want to borrow 100%, but they've got a second property that's unencumbered. No two scenarios are the same, so don't assume that there is nothing else, because there could be. Now, once all the information is known, you can further prep before your meeting, knowing what information you will need. It then gives you time to complete some research and prepare some other relevant questions. Now, together, this will help you learn more about the clients and their business, helping to build rapport and a lasting relationship. We'll next help you with the meeting questions, and you can refer to our chapter, The First Interview Guide, and building rapport and relationships with your business clients. The interview guide is designed to custom fit your business, so please make changes as you see fit. A hot tip here, print the pre-appointment questionnaire, edit it and tailor it to your business, and keep a copy handy so that you can take notes when that VIP call comes through. I've got a couple printed in the back of my A4 notebook, so I can quickly ask the right questions, write down some notes so that I have a bit of an understanding before I'm actually face-to-face with that client. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope that this brings you confidence around what to ask when that first phone call comes through or an inquiry from one of your very important referral sources. Thanks again for listening to the Commercial Know-How podcast. And don't forget to visit commercialknowhow.com.au, where you can download my free ebook to help you get started in commercial finance and also get in touch with me. Please make sure you subscribe on your favourite podcast player so that you don't miss an episode. See you soon. Thanks for listening to the Commercial Know-How podcast. Don't forget to visit commercialknowhow.com.au, where you can get in touch with me or download my free ebook to help you get started in the commercial lending space. If you enjoy the show, please hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. See you soon.